Hello guys, welcome back to AppDev channel. As part of this asynchronous communication implementation video series, in the last video we talked about the job process API development. We have developed that API and we also have done the integration between the submit API and the job process API. We also have received the acknowledgement response from the backend system to the middleware. Now, in today's video, what we are going to do, we are going to push the job status updates to SQS. Okay, so that's the thing for today's video. So we are going to push the status messages to SQS, send messages to SQS. This is the line item which we are going to cover in today's video. So before doing that, let's open our server workspace. Here, right in the earlier video, in the previous video, what we have done, we have returned just a sample response to the middleware layer from the backend layer, right? So instead of just returning sample response from this service, what we do, we actually have to send the status updates to SQS, right? So, and this job process will be submitted by many other clients, not only one client, right? It should be accepting the multiple requests from different clients at the same time, right? So for that, what I'm going to do, instead of just responding with a plain simple message for every client, I'm going to create multiple threads for every request that it is invoking the job process API. So each thread will be accepting the request and acknowledging the response to the particular request, and also pushing the updates to the SQS. So for that, what I have to do, I have to create one thread class. Okay. So what I'll name it as the job process thread. Okay, job process thread in my backend project. Yes. So what this job process thread is going to do. So the job process thread, I'll create one constructor in this job process thread. But before constructing, let me create the class level properties like user ID, job ID, job ID or job name, whatever, right? Job ID. All these things we will be getting in the job process request, right? And also we'll see, okay, what else is required. So job process thread constructor, yeah, constructor using fields, and then it is a thread class, right? So we have to implement runnable. The moment we implement runnable, we have to add the run method, right? So in the run method, what we have to do, we have to push the updates to SQS, right? Okay, we have to push the updates to SQS. So for this example application purpose, right? What I'm going to do, I'm going to maintain some predefined list of messages, status messages. In general, what we do, it will be having some lengthy process, right? Like to connect any job will be having to connect to the any other external APIs or the database systems or any business logic, right? It will be having so much of logic for each of the step. If suppose it is having some 10 different steps, for each of the step completion, it has to send an update to the middleware layer, right? So for that, to achieve that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a set of an array of messages. Okay, job status messages. So what are the different messages I'm going to maintain? The job is started. Okay, fetching input data. This is another message. Executing DB query one. executing DB query 2, executing DB query 3, like this. Okay, uh, generating reports, and finally job completed. Okay, so this is my string array which is having different messages. So for regular intervals of time, we have to push the updates to SQS, right? So for that we need SQS client. So how to get the SQS client to this thread class? So this thread class we are going to invoke from the service class, right? From service we will, in the service itself we will create a, we will get an SQS client. So from there we will pass the SQS client to here. Okay, so that SQS client, how to create, we will see it now. Okay, so SQS client is not available because we have to set up our workspace, right, to use the AWS services. Here we already have done the configuration to use the AWS services in our microservices project, right? So let me take this, the dependency management, where the BOM will be configured, AWS Java SDK, that we will use it here in our backend project as well. And then we have to import the SQS library, right? Let me use it here. Okay, the moment we add the dependency, it is going to download the SQS library, which we have seen it, right? SQS library is downloaded. Now we have to get the SQS client here, right? So let me just import the SQS client. Yeah, it's available now. So let's go to our service class now. In the service class, we have to create our SQS client connection, right? So let's go to, we are in the service class now, right? So here I'll be having a method public SQS client method. So it's going to use, it's going to create the SQS client here as using SQS client builder. Okay, in the builder we have to pass the credential provider, right? So credentials provider, we have to use the static credential provider, which is one of its implementation class. In the static credential provider, we have to create the AWS basic credentials, right? So in the basic credentials, we have to pass the access key ID and the value, right? So after that, we have to pass the region as well. So what is the region? We have to use region dot AP Asia Pacific South 1. Okay, and then build, except the access key and the value. So those things I already configured in my properties file. Okay, so let me get them from there to here into this Java class, service class. So private string access key ID at value I have to take here AWS dot access key ID is the property name which I gave in my properties file. Private string secret access key. Here at value AWS dot secret access key. Okay. So with that, we have the data credentials data available in our service class, right? Let me use them to pass here in the AWS basic credentials. After that, what we have to do, we have to return the SQS client. So we have the SQS client ready in our service class. Okay, so we have to call our thread class whenever the job is submitted, right? So to that thread class, we have to pass job process thread, right? So what it is expecting user ID, job ID, and we also have to give the uh, SQS client because it has to integrate with it has to communicate with the SQS client to push the messages, right? This dot SQS client is equal to SQS client. So where is the process service? Yeah, here we have to send the job process request vivo dot get user ID, job process request vivo dot get get a job name. Yeah, we can also send job process request vivo dot get queue name. Okay, and then the SQS client. So with this, we are initializing our thread class, right? We are starting our thread. So we are able to start, but there is something that we will see here. So instead of, along with the job ID, user ID, and SQS client, I want queue name as well here. So string queue name. Okay. So let me come here in the job process service. So we have to initialize this SQS client, right? We have to create an SQS client and pass it to the thread class. No, just a method, right? Yeah. So with that, we are able to call the service, call the thread, initialize a thread whenever there is a request received to process the job, right? So and when it starts the thread, it won't wait for that thread to complete. It just immediately sends an acknowledgement submitted response to the middleware layer, whoever submits it, right? So we have the client now here. So in the thread class, we have the client now, right? So here what we have to do, we have to use the SQS client, send message. So send message, we have a send message request, right? So to send message request, we have to create send message request builder first, right? Send message request dot builder dot. So what are the different things that we have to give? Message body. Okay, we are not getting anything. Okay, why is that this is not available? Send message request. Yeah, send message request dot builder. Oh, send message. It's not batch request, right? Yeah, message body, message deduplication ID, message group ID. All these things we have to set when we are sending a message. Along with that, to which queue you want to connect, right? That also you have to mention. So you have to connect and send messages. So let me just set the message body first. So what is the message body? So job status messages, right? So job status message. So what we are going to do, we are going to put this in a loop, right? To receive, to send these messages. For string message status messages, send message. Okay. So job status messages of or else message, right? So to this message, what we do, we also append to which user ID it is sending the messages. Okay, just as a message, right? So this is the user ID and this is the job ID and then this is the message. Okay, this is the final message. Okay, response message or the job status update. Okay, status update. So this one we have to push as a message body, right? And then we have to set the queue URL. Yeah, see here the URL of the Amazon SQS queue to which the message is sent. In general, queue will be formed like this. Okay, uh, yeah, like this. https://sqs dot your region. What is the region we are using? Okay, AP South 1 dot Amazon AWS.com and your account number. My account number for this project which I created, right? That is 311 643 167475. Okay, I think we can find it here somewhere. Yeah, this one. This is the account ID. 3116431674754317475. So this is the account. This is how the queue URL will be formed, right? After that, the job queue name. Queue name. What? How the queue name is created in the client application? The queue name is created like this, right? In the client application, when the job submitted. So this is how we created user ID underscore job name dot 54, right? Same thing we will give here. Otherwise, we can also directly use the queue name here, right? Yeah, queue name. They should be having also at the end dot 54, right? Okay, fine. Let's just check once this queue name. Yeah, same queue name we are sending to the job process request. Okay, and then we have set the message body queue URL. There is one more thing that we have to set to message group ID. So what is the purpose of this message group ID? The tag specifies that a message belongs to a specific message group. Messages that belong to the same message group are processed in a FIFO manner. Yeah. So if we specify a message group, right? Message group ID. then it will be like they will be processed in the same FIFO manner, first in first out manner. Okay, so message group ID also let's just specify, and it should be unique thing for every message. So job updates, something like that will give, and some variable. Okay, what is a variable? Some unique identifier for each message, right? This is, so here I'll give something into count equal to 0, count plus plus. Okay, so this is the message group ID. So with this, what we are using, the send message request we are building, right? After that, we have to call the build, and we have to use that builder here, that send message request here. Okay, so once once we send that message, we will just log that sent this message. Okay, so but for each message, right, what we do, we just give some we just do some simulation of the real time, right? Let's just give some gap in between each message which has sent. Okay, thread or sleep of some 5 seconds we'll give. Okay, 5 seconds. Okay, so with this we have done with the coding part to send messages, periodic messages to SQS from the job process API whenever it is received a request from the job submit API. So here, before starting the after starting the thread and before start sending the messages, right, I just want to give some time uh, for the queue to be created successfully. It takes some time, right? Some 20 seconds. Yeah, okay, so that's all. Okay, now let me start this project, the backend service. Cool, the job process is started now, right? Clear. So we have not done any changes in the client, right? Okay, so this is the client service. So let's initiate a client request now. Okay, instead of app dev 10, right? Let me give 9. So this user is going to submit job 9. Okay, so this is the request. So let's see what happens. The job request is received, and it also received the submitted response from the backend. Let's just see whether the queue is created or not. Yeah, queue is created. Good. Okay, the messages will be there here in the queue. Okay, let's just wait for a few seconds because we gave the some 20 seconds delay. So yeah, see this, the it started sending the messages with the regular 5 seconds interval of time. Okay, fetching input data, executing db query 1, db query 2, db query 3. So all these messages are being sent from our backend job process API to SQS, right? But there is no one listening to those messages. But what will happen if no one listening to those messages? Let's just see. Okay, so this is the queue, right, which we created for this request. Yeah, this one, right? Yeah, AppDev 9, job 954. So message is available 7. As there is no one listening to these messages, right? These messages are still there in the queue. Okay, you can still get them here. Okay, poll for messages. Yeah, see, no one has retrieved these messages. They are still in the queue. Okay, if you just open a message, see, this is the message we sent from our application, right? So with this, till now we are even able to push the updates to SQS, right, from job process API. So this is done, and job process API is also able to push the messages to SQS. So job middleware should be listening to the SQS. So middleware, what it is doing currently, if you look at the client workspace, it has not received the updates yet. It just received the acknowledgement response from the job process API. So, but with the job process API, once it acknowledges, it pushes the updates to SKS. But those updates are not yet received to the middleware, right? That we have to implement that part. Okay, how to do that? That we will start implementing by using the JMS queue listeners. Okay, how to listen for the updates by the JMS API in the SQS. That we will see it in the next video. I hope you all liked the video. Thank you for watching. Please give it a like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you again. Bye bye.